Welcome back to Speaking Llama, a Survivor podcast. We are excited to be here with the fourth place finisher and the eighth jury member of Titans versus Rebels. Raymond is on the podcast. Raymond, how are you feeling today after watching that episode last night?
Yeah, about as happy. I mean, I'm going all right, but I'm doing about as well as anyone that's just lost the title of sole survivor and the $500,000 can actually be. So take from that what you will. I'm going all right.
It's fair.
Yeah, absolutely. The game went up in flames, as JLP said. But
Mine did. Mine did.
yeah,
Yes, that is for sure.
well, Raven, we're so excited to hear about your game and some big moments you had this season. We loved watching you play this season. One of our first questions for you, kind of those early days on the Rebels Beach. How did you begin to establish yourself and your alliances? Kind of what was going on those early days?
Honestly, the moment that you get to merge, someone like me is going to have a pretty easy run. But in those early parts of the game where you're surrounded by people where with all different views on the game, it's hard to get. It's hard for someone that's probably not perceived as to be someone that's going to be doing all that well in challenges to get further in the game, especially when all you're thinking, when most of the people out there are thinking at that point about food and all that stuff. So it was a little bit rough, but I was lucky to get in with the right people and take it from there.
Absolutely. You talk about getting in with the right people. Obviously, one of the biggest relationships of the
Yes.
season was you and Ferris. Talk to us a little bit about
Yeah.
what connected y'all to, and were there anyone else you were particularly close with?
I was close to, I think, a lot of people out the game, but in those early days, it was mainly Ferris and I was, I think, a little bit closer to Scotty and Eileen at the first portions of the game because I don't know, they were sort of quiet and always hanging by themselves in the back of the shelter, and it's you need to build as many relationships as you can out there. It's for the whole game. You need to have a reliance on people, and if you make it to the very end, you need to have a reason why these people would want to vote for you, especially considering all the different factors in a game like Survivor, all the micro level managing and whatnot.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Was when thinking about Ferris in particular, was there anything in
Yeah.
particular, like any reason why y'all connected and why y'all's bond was so strong throughout the entire game?
The thing about Ferris is that he's a very honest and empathetic person, and in a game like Survivor, it might not look like someone like him would be as honest as he is, but in a season like Titans versus Rebels, where there's so much going on and there's so much unsurety, having someone that you can be an anchor on that like will keep your head well that it can keep I don't know, just some reassurance in a game of Survivor is needed, especially on a season that's this sporadic with this many people playing as hard as they were.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, we noticed that it felt like alliances were shifting every tribal council, especially at the merge. And so one of those moments we wanted to ask you about was, let's fast forward to after the merge, the Jaden vote out. We saw you kind of
Yes.
begin to, I think from the edit, we saw kind of Mark whisper in your ear at tribal council, and you chose to work with kind of the OG Titans over the OG Rebels. So we'd love to hear like, your motivation behind that move.
That's such a big move because that move is singularly, in my opinion, that's probably the biggest vote of the game, in my opinion, for me winding up where I was. And I knew it at the time. Uh, what you didn't see in the show was that Jaden and Riri were a lot closer than than anyone will ever know. And
Hmm.
Jaden and Riri also had this appreciation for Kirby, and Kirby is such a threat going forward in the game that once you get rid of Jaden, then the only person that's willing to probably bring her to the end of the game so that they could probably lose would be Riri. And Kirby, although she's an absolute challenge threat and a challenge beast and just amazing physically, I think that most people could beat her at endurance. So getting rid of Jaden at that point meant that there was no chance that Kirby could win at the very end. And from that point on as well, she's going to have to be stuck while just trying to make as far as she can. So it was a very important vote, and I was open to doing it, especially on top of the fact that Eileen went home the night before, and like I was a bit pissed off with a lot of people for something like that. And when Mark said, because I was willing to do something like that, and when Mark says to me, "Hey, put your vote around," it doesn't show in the show, but I said, "Hey, I'll do it, but don't you play your idol?" And it's like, "Well, who's it for?" I said, "Well, it's for Valeria, but don't you play that idol?" And it's like that was my mark of trust. If Mark wanted me to work with him, I would be a pretty loyal number with someone like him, especially considering that I didn't think that he was playing all that good of a game. But I would have been loyal to him, but for him to just instantly lie the moment that I do give him something, because I would give him advice and stuff like that. So I'd tell him certain things, but he wouldn't give anything back to anyone when you'd have the
Hmm.
one-on-one conversations. He'd just listen. And a lot of people felt that way. A lot of people felt like if they were giving Mark anything in the game, then he wasn't giving anything in return. And this was just another instance of that I felt betrayed. And especially like when I'm willing to shoot myself in the foot for something like that, which did need to happen because Jaden is an absolute tank, an absolute challenge
Yeah.
beast, and all this stuff. So, I mean, it's one less number going into what you know to be that final endurance challenge that you need to win probably to get to the very end and win that game. But um, yeah, Mark betraying me when I said don't do this, I'll tell you what to do, and I will vote for you, and we can just have it from there. And him playing that idol when he did all for nothing really pissed me off, which then
Mm.
was another reason of the many reasons as to then why the night next day I tried to pull that move to get Valeria out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really great insight. And kind of speaking of the Valeria boat out, right, backing up, you get the advantage at the auction by buying a tub of popcorn. Any thought about have like
Yeah.
when you bought that popcorn, did you think you might like there might be something in there, or do you just really like popcorn?
Well, I do really just love popcorn. I did live on popcorn when I was working at Perisher for 4 months because I couldn't afford any other food.
Yeah.
I've used popcorn as a snack for most of my life. I love popcorn,
Yeah.
and I mean, you're not really thinking, hey, there might be an idol in this. I mean, some people might be, but I mean, if you think along those lines, you're just going to be, oh, well, there wasn't anything, especially when they can hide clues in bananas like they have been this season. So
Yeah.
it wasn't my original thought, but there were so many. Again, my whole game was the pros and the cons, and the idea that I could watch a Survivor auction live while eating popcorn is another pro against it. It's honestly, it's just use your money, get it over with, and
Yeah.
something that I don't think people are going to be, because most people aren't going to be too mad if you're getting the popcorn. They're going to be, oh,
Hmm.
I wish that I'd gotten that steak, or I wish I'd gotten that schnitzel or something. They're going to be like, oh, Raymond just got the popcorn. Oh, it's nobody's missing out by Raymond eating the popcorn in front of
Hmm.
everyone. And even then, even just the little decisions like that, just you getting something better than someone else in the game can be the reason that then they hate you, especially when they're tired and
Hmm.
hungry going into the game, or the reason that you do have a tag on your back. So many pros for the popcorn, and I just happened to get lucky with that advantage. So yeah,
Yeah.
That is so
Absolutely.
insightful. Yeah, I love that. And Raymond, so let's talk about the advantage. I think that's something that a lot of people want to hear about. So when you
yes.
first got it, what were you thinking through? Did you think I need to play this? I can't play this. We saw how you ended up playing it, but any kind of failed plans or ideas that you thought you could use it, but you may just maybe decided not to.
Yeah, I had a really, really good one. So the idea was because it says that it needs to be used in the next three tribal councils. It didn't say, hey, it needs to be used with 10, 9, or 8 people remaining in the game. It said in the next three tribal councils. So I figured if I let it expire, I let someone else find it, like they try and use it like a final five where it's more realistically going to be able to be pulled, then they do it even if they get all the votes on themselves and they look like an idiot. So I thought that that would probably be the best option for something like that. And I say to the producers, hey, can I do it? Because like realistically, most people would try and pull something like that off at a final five if they've got nothing on their resume. And
Mhm.
I thought that it could be hilarious. It probably wouldn't make for good TV, just lambasting on someone that making look like an idiot. And the producers, I asked them, I said, hey, can I do that? And they said, no, the piece of paper gets taken away from you the moment that expires. And I was like,
Mm,
damn. And I think that I thought going into it, I knew that it's a really stupid advantage. It's something that the average person shouldn't even attempt to pull off.
mhm.
And that the idea that the advantage was given to me and they were treating me like I was an idiot, that, well, not me as an idiot, the person that got the thing like they're an idiot. It's like it was like if anyone else on the cast got the thing, they wouldn't have even tried it. But they got something. It's a season like Titans versus Rebels. Realistically, my perception at this point is that I am Ferris's goat, and I want to have something on my resume and the chance to, no matter what with that idol, it's going to be good TV if you try and use it. If you go out looking like the dumbest person I've ever, and I actually wouldn't mind looking like the Eric Reichenbach of Australian Survivor. So, and like he was brought back for a season. Like the pros for it or trying to pull something off, even though
Yeah.
like there's a major chance that you're going home, is so good because again, if I get sent home, I look like the dumbest human being on the planet, and I'm brought back maybe for an all-star season with no target on their back. So there's that to it. And the worst case scenario is at that point, if I didn't have that advantage, I wasn't winning the game next to most people.
Mhm.
So I it's there's that, and you're eating a burger, and you're actually getting the chance to go out of the game in a blaze of glory. So everything was pointing towards doing it, and I mean the big pro of if it actually works, even though I think there's like a 5% chance that it ever does work, like you're sitting safe till like the final six or five, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like it's all pros. Why wouldn't you try something like that? Especially since like it's a Titans versus Rebels. There's so much chaos going on, and I knew the people out there. I knew that they were going to be good TV. So why not try and pull it?
Absolutely. Well, you pulled it off. Was there any thought that like, oh, this is not going to work going into that final
Oh,
that tribal council?
yeah, I was 100% sure that it wasn't going to work, but it did. On any other season, it does not work. But just like it is the stupidest thing to try and pull off in this game. There's the average person would think the risk does not outweigh the reward, especially since you're probably already going to be making it to the final five anyway. But I mean, you know that it's going to be good TV. Yeah, it's just stupid, and it's Survivor. It's your one in a lifetime chance to do something like that, and there's a reason why you put on the Rebels tribe. Everything was just a pro to me playing that stupid thing, but it is the dumbest advantage of all time, and it took a massive toll on me going forward in the game. I did not fully recover from that for days after because I literally didn't eat. I did not drink all that much water during it. So it took a massive toll on my body, but I really wanted to win that game and I really wanted to, yeah, just do something. I think I've
Yeah.
only got a few minutes left now. Sorry if I'm boring you all. Like
Y-
wasting too much time talking about stupid things
This
that
is
don't
fantastic.
matter in the
You are definitely not boring us, A, first of all, but B, right?
okay.
I think we were interested to know about this advantage and how you're thinking about it. But kind of going to last night's tribal council in our little time left, what did you think was going to happen? Like, was there ever any thought about flipping on Ferris, or were you expecting the final fire making challenge at that final four?
It's the whole game is micro level decisions. It's like four layers of decisions going on. So like the long and short of it is, I knew that Ferris was not turning me at the very end of the game. Ferris is like, even though Mark was like trying to do this big demonstration to make Ferris look like he was going to flip and he's dishonest so as he can get one step further in the game. Ferris is a very loyal person, and Ferris is not an idiot, and everyone could see through what Mark was doing. There was no question about the fact that Ferris was voting for me, but I still can't believe that Mark and Caroline picked him to go to the end over me, because like mine and Ferris's relationship was really close, but a pro on the side of being in a relationship with him is that I'm going to be seen as far less of a threat than him. So it blows my mind. And genuinely, I think that if I had gotten to the final three, you would see maybe a lot more of my intellectual sides. You would probably see that I played a little bit better of a game than what I actually did. And I think that'd be $500,000 richer right now.
Raymond, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Would love to connect with you again, maybe after the season, hear a little bit more about that intellectual game that you've got, that $500,000 winning game. But really appreciate your time, and we're excited to watch the finale tonight. So we'll talk soon.
I'm excited myself. I'm going to a place where Garrick and Kelly are meeting up, so they're going to be seeing each other. So to see that awful dynamic again is going to be hilarious. But anyway, I better go. I could talk about Survivor for hours, but yeah, see ya.